Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And in this case, we're talking about the power of basketball. That's why we're honored to have with us professional development coach Kevin Whitted, owner of Kevin Whitted Basketball Services. How are you doing?
Hey, doing great today. Doing great. How you doing?
Doing good. So you have an amazing personal storyline, and this starts with you in obviously high school and college, playing professionally with the Dallas Mavericks, coaching college and professionally. Give us a little bit of your personal background tied to the sport of basketball.
Wow, it's an interesting background. It spans over 30 years now. So, I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina, originally. Proud son of Luther and Dolores Whitted. They were educators. They were able to, shape my career through education, and also basketball was a part of that as well. My parents were athletic, and that propelled me to being a great high school player. That took me from Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina, to being a high school All-American, to University of Tennessee, and on to the professional ranks. So it's been a long but quick period. It feels like it's been a quick period, but it's been long.
When you look at what you learn, obviously collegiate, professional, how did you carry that into your coaching philosophy? So talk about the transition from player to coach.
Well, it's part of the DNA. My DNA is I came from a teaching background because my parents were teachers. So going to college, it was a great time for me to learn two aspects of coaching. My first coach, Wade Houston, that recruited me in Tennessee, was unbelievable. The first African-American to coach in the SEC. He was like a father to us. He taught us about entrepreneurship. He taught us about expanding ourselves beyond the game, understanding how to present yourself and how to be a professional early on. Then once he left Tennessee, Kevin O'Neal came in. He was my coach my senior year. He instilled a different side of my personality and my DNA in terms of going after things, really pushing through the hard part of life through a basketball standpoint. He was a technical teacher. He gave me a lot of things from a defensive standpoint, from that standpoint of being a better basketball player. I also was introduced to the skill development side through Lawrence Frank, who was his assistant at the time as well, which is the president of the Los Angeles Clippers now. So all those DNA factors helped develop me as a player and also translated me into being a good coach, because I had a lot of things early on in my Rolodex that I could go to in terms of teaching. So that kind of helped me in the process early on.
When you talk about the programs now that you're running, you've got a gym. And so let's talk about that and the programs, because they kind of run throughout the calendar and you're pulling in kids locally and all over the region. So go ahead and talk about what you're doing now.
Well, KWBS is a full player development program, which, offers a multitude of services. Our standard service is individualized training. We do group training. We also have membership training as well. And yes, we do service a lot of kids locally and regionally. We're also getting them all over the country. Since the pandemic, because of the internet, we became an online training service as well. So people call in, they request services. We're able to meet with them online, discuss, player development, also teaching them aspects of the game through online that can be helpful, ball handling, shooting, footwork. So all those things are important. But the online training has been huge for us, and that changed everything for us. But from a program standpoint, we are running year-round with our memberships. We start with kids at the early ages of 8 all the way up to the professional ranks. So we have a beginner's training, intermediate training, advanced training, and pro training.
When you talk about making the transition from high school to college and then college to professional, there's a jump, obviously, in terms of speed, athleticism, but also the mental side, right? So talk about kind of those jumps, if you will, with the different groups from the high school to the college to the pro, because you're helping them to be ready, empowered for success.
Yeah, well, like I said, our beginners, we come in, we have our dominant factors that, we work on: our feet, stance, balance. Then we work on, your mechanics, your shot, and also your follow through. So what we do is those are the intangible things that we work on regardless of what level you're at. But at the beginning stages, we really emphasize those 6 intangibles because they really impact everything going forward. Now, the time we get to our intermediate stage, those six things are utilized daily, but we add to it. So it's like coming in, you have a foundation already, and you understand these things. Now it's time to put you in situations that require the resistance behind it that are gonna help you from a game perspective. Now, the time you get to our advanced stages, which you get to our high school level, they're pretty much ready for all those things in our program. So what we're doing immediately is coming in, addressing those things, and adding to it. Again, it's like building a house. You know, you create the foundation, you apply the wood and the electricity, and you put the ceiling on, add all the intangibles inside to make it work. And by that time, you have a house. So from a basketball perspective, we try to do that with our high school kids. All those things are implemented early on, and then we're able to execute them with them. Now with our college players, they're ready. I mean, they're almost professionals at that point. So at that point, what we're trying to do now is we're really impacting them mentally. We're teaching them about the game of life, the game of basketball from a standpoint of business, how it works, being in position to now not just be a basketball player. You want to make sure that you're in the right system that fits what you do. And at the professional level, you know, we work on all these intangibles, but it's all the things that come together from a standpoint of staying at a professional and what it's going to take for you to sustain your career. Those are things that we kind of implement while we're here. And we do this by individual base, but in a group setting at times as well.
You mentioned the fundamentals, and all of this ties into your formula for success. And so talk about the formula for success holistically and where that carries in not only on the court, but off the court, just like you're talking about being prepared as a business person.
Yeah, well, I always, you know, I know I don't know how old you are, but I'm an era of Motown. I mean, if anybody's watching this and they watch the Motown era with Berry Gordy, they were the machine of development for artists. That's how we try to treat our clients when they come in our door. You know, the first thing we do when we come in, we identify who you are. We try to find out what your skill sets are. And then what we do is we go through a period of adjustment where, you know, if you go to Motown, you're meeting their dance coach, you're meeting the person that handles their wardrobe, you handle the person that's teaching you how to speak and carry yourself and how to be a professional. Then they try to find out your sound. Once we find out your sound, now we're going to find out, you know, what's going to sell for you, what market is going to be attracted to you. Then we make a record, and then we present it to Berry Gordy, and then Berry Gordy decides if it's a good record or not. And then all of a sudden, now you have a hit. You're in the top 20. So from a basketball perspective, we try to do the same thing when you come in here, regardless of who you are. That's kind of the DNA and the flow of how we do things here. We have a great staff here of 4 trainers. They basically take our beginners and they go through the same system that I teach and reiterate daily. And the time they get to me, I'm like Berry Gordy in the facility. You know, you see me and I can kind of tell you, no, this is good, this is bad, this is not going to work, this is not going to translate at the next level. Because that's where the information, the experience, everything I've been through, the trials, all the setbacks, all the things that I've gone through, being cut to making it, to being a coach, same action, being fired, to being here at this point here today. I learned so much from a standpoint of information. I'm like an open book where I'm able to give the information with simplicity and also give them the things that they need to do to avoid situations so they can make it and sustain their career.
Talk about it from the perspective for the parents, and obviously this will tie to the youth as well, but when I think of sports, there's so much. I mean, for me personally, it was tennis, but you learn discipline, character, confidence, overcoming adversity, how to handle setbacks and challenges, how to handle, you know, the wins and do it gracefully and humbly, right? Like there's a lot, but it also too teaches you the power of effort and understanding like what it takes to succeed at the highest level, where you think you're putting in 100% effort and, you know, really it's like 20%. And then you realize, wow, I have so much more to give to reach my potential. And so there's all these special moments that come about through sports that transcend for your life. And I think for parents to understand the power of basketball for their children, it's a powerful mechanism for success in life. So talk about it from that standpoint of lessons learned through basketball, and as a parent, why this sport is so important to the future for their children.
Well, I mean, that's another part of my aspect of who I am. I'm a parent as well. I have two daughters. One is playing professional basketball overseas. She's in her 7th season. I have one now in high school. She's a junior. She just committed to University of Cincinnati. So I understand that the part of a parent. So I'm able to help parents a lot. And the biggest thing I try to tell parents all the time, consistency, consistency, consistency. Is that because that's the key to success. And a lot of parents in our industry, you know, that I come across most of the time, 70% of them do not understand what consistency means from a basketball perspective. What that means is making sure that each week they arrive early, stay late. They're fulfilling their assignment, making sure that you follow up on the things that they need to be working on in here, which now when they come back, now we can build on top of that. But the key is getting them here consistently, because most parents don't understand that basketball is a year-round process. So you have 4 seasons of the year. You have the fall, which is the time you're in a full development mode. You're really prepared for the season. The winter months are about maintaining what you receive in the summer months. And then the springtime, that's when things are blooming. That's when you have to now grow other aspects of your game. So, but most parents don't understand it. They normally bring kids in the summer, utilize the fall, and then they disappear in the winter months. And, you know, coming from the country, you know, my dad taught me about farming. You know, in the winter months, that's when you're preparing the ground for the spring. So you have to maintain the ground. That means you're chopping it up. You're getting rid of all the garbage that's in there to make sure that when the springtime comes, you can properly grow things. And so we try to urge parents to build that consistency, keeping them in front of us as much as possible. Modify your schedule as much as possible to make sure that development piece is not, you know, it doesn't disappear in the winter months, because it never stops.
You mentioned some of the coaches, especially at Tennessee. What's a coach that has inspired you? And obviously all of them have in some way, but, you know, pick one in terms of who's inspired you, where you take some of the things that you learned from them, lessons learned, philosophy, even, you know, some of the words you say and how you say, like, oh, I'm sounding just like this person. What's a coach that has inspired you that you know, still kind of share today?
Well, all of them, like you said, all of them did. My Coach Lynch, my high school coach, was unbelievable. He taught me about history and respecting history. You know, he was a history teacher, so he always taught us about the history of the game, the history of our country, everything, how the game developed. So from that perspective, that helped me. You know, Wade Houston taught me about first impressions. He said, you never get a chance to make a first impression again. So the first time people meet you, make sure that they're meeting and you're able to give them that elevator pitch that's necessary to help you go to the next level. Kevin O'Neal taught me toughness, how to survive in the trenches. You know, how to be held accountable, being early, making sure you're 15 minutes early before every meeting. That's Kevin O'Neal. From the pro standpoint, I had international coaches that were unbelievable. You know, they kind of embody all those things, but they taught relationships, you know, every brotherhood, team camaraderie, because overseas, you have to become a part of that community there. From the professional ranks, you know, I can think about Jim Clemens. He was my head coach with the Dallas Mavericks. You know, he was unbelievable in terms of just teaching and following through on the things from accountability. That helped. Working under Phil Jackson and Derek Fisher in New York was incredible. My last coaching job, because I really got involved with the culture of the system that was involved, which embodies everyone, making sure that everybody's a part of the process. And, you know, fortunately, these are the people that really shaped my DNA, you know, that come, you know, and there's a lot more. It was probably a lot more people. I can think about Earl Jackson early on at the boys club growing up. He was important in terms of, you know, that second father to me outside of the home, you know, from a athletic standpoint. So there are a number of people that were influential. You know, D. Sasser, my junior high coach, he was the first coach to take me on a college visit to really look at universities. You know, he got my wheels turning in terms of seeing a vision of where I wanted to go. You know, all these people were incredible. Lenny Simpson, retired tennis pro. He was my mentor in college. He's one of the pioneers of I think he won the first U.S. Open, first African-American to win the U.S. Open. So all these people were instrumental in my process of development as a person, as a player.
I love it. That's awesome. So talk about where both, obviously, the players and the parents, where can we go to learn more, take next steps? What do those next steps look like? So go ahead and carry that forward.
Well, you can see we're here at the facility right now. It's a beautiful facility. We have everything in here that's necessary. I'm actually sitting in the strength area right now. And out here is the court. We have a recovery room where everything is set up for athletes to come in. So it's basically a one-stop shop when you come in here. You can get everything you need, all your needs met, nutritionally as well. But what you can do, if you want to find us, you can always go online, look us up on Kevin Whitted Basketball on Instagram, also on Facebook as well. We have a website as well. It's kevinwhittedbasketball.com. You can also call us. Number is 888-780-2216. So you can reach us anytime there, and you have opportunity to talk to us, get counsel on what you need to be doing from a recruiting standpoint, a player development standpoint, and just setting you up for life after the game as well. So, we're kind of prepared to do all those things here, and you can find us at those three locations.
Yeah, it's awesome. Professional development coach Kevin Whitted, owner of Kevin Whitted Basketball Services. Thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.